What's up everyone, welcome back to another Good Labs video. We got Hatless Brad today helping you out, and today we're going to be working on bunker shots. It's obviously very important to know how to get out of a bunker and be able to hit shots close out of a bunker. Bunkers are everywhere on most golf courses, and I know a lot of amateurs, higher handicappers struggle with bunkers because it can be kind of intimidating, and it is a completely different golf shot than we normally hit, and I'll go through that a little bit while we're learning how to hit a bunker shot. But it can be intimidating. You can get your setup correct and know the key fundamentals to get out of the bunker, then it can make it much less intimidating, and you can realize that bunkers aren't really always that hard. Yeah, let's get into it. First things first, picking the right club out of the bunker. I just primarily use a 60 degree. The only time I'll use something different out of a bunker is if it's like a 60-yard bunker shot, 70-yard bunker shot, or maybe 50. I might go sand wedge or gap wedge. But if it's just a simple bunker shot around the greens, close to the green, I just use a 60. But you can also, I'd say the lowest you want to go out of bunker is probably 56 degree, which obviously is called the sand wedge. That's probably the lowest amount of degrees you want to go, in my opinion. When you're practicing this stuff and when you're on the course hitting these shots, I'd say use a 60 degree, 56 degree, somewhere in there. Those are the best clubs in terms of having enough bounce on the back of the club, which is super important for bunker shots, and having enough loft to be able to loft it up out of the bunker. Yeah, I think that's the right club to use. Step number one on the setup, you want this club face to be very, very open. So many times I see higher handicappers or beginners to the game, they'll get into a bunker and they'll be dead square face. It's even happened before where I'll tell them to open up that face a lot more, and they'll go from here to like here. You know, they'll open it up a little bit, but not near enough. So on a simple, just greenside bunker shot, I am opening that face up almost to where it's like flat on the ground. And it seems crazy, and if you don't do this right now, it might seem wild looking at that face just wide open like that. But you just trust me, it is super important, because when you're going through the sand, you want to be able to get under the ball, but you don't want to dig. So if you have a square face in the bunker and you hit down into it, that thing is just gonna get stuck, and it's probably gonna chunk out, the ball might barely move. You want the club to be able to be open and slide under the ball and get through the sand. So it's almost like skipping underneath the ball through the sand instead of just digging into it. Also, the open face will help it loft up and get out of the bunker, get a little higher. So you wanna keep a very open face on the setup. All right, next up, you want a very wide stance in the bunker. Again, I see a lot of people, they're trying to just kind of hit it like a normal chip shot or pitch shot. They'll have a pretty narrow stance, kind of like this. You want, again, face wide open. You want your feet wider than your shoulders, and you want to get very athletic down here, bend these knees, open face, and almost kind of sit down into it. So you're not just standing straight up or whatever, you're kind of sitting down, getting athletic with a really wide stance, just like this. The reason we do that is because, again, I'm gonna be talking about the bounce a lot in this video. And if you don't know what the bounce is that little hunk of metal right there. Like if this part of the club just went like this the rest of the way, there'd be no bounce. This bounce right here helps the club not dig into the sand, and it helps it just get into the sand and then come back out pretty quickly. I don't really know why, but I just know the shaft is higher. And the reason why we want to have a wide stance and get down is because the bounce will go through the club, go through the bunker much easier when it's kind of the club's lower here. Instead of here, it'll just kind of tend to dig. I don't really know why, but I just know the shaft is higher, it'll dig more. If it's lower, it'll bounce off the sand more, go through the sand more. Next up, so we have the wide open face, we have the wide stance, and this part is similar to other parts of chipping and pitching. You want to get that weight on the left side and keep it there throughout the entire swing. So the reason why we keep the weight on the left side in short game shots is because you want to be very consistent on where you bottom out at the bottom of the swing. It's the same thing for bunkers. You want to know where this club is going to be entering, and if you keep that weight on the left side, keep it there at setup and keep it there throughout the swing, it is much easier to judge where that club is going to be entering the sand. If you have this weight on the left side and then you back out this way, put the weight over here on the downswing, that club is going to be going in a different way than if you had kept it here. So it's just much easier for consistency if you keep the weight on the left side. And also in a bunker shot, you want to be getting steep with it. You want to be coming down steep and pretty down the ball instead of going this way. You want to be coming more down. So having the weight on the left side keeps everything on this side, so you will be able to get steep on it, no issues. right, now we'll get more into the actual swing part of the bunker shot. You want this face to be able to use that bounce correctly. You have to have this club going into the ball, or not going into the ball, sorry, going into the sand behind the ball like that. You don't want it to be closing down. You don't want it to be going square, you want it open. So on the backswing, to make sure that club gets in a good spot for the downswing, so to be able to help with keeping the club face open through the ball, on the backswing, I want you to make sure that club face feels like it's opening up. So you want those grooves to start staring right back at you on the backswing. You don't want to be closing it down like this or anything like that. You want it to feel like it's opening and rotating open. That way on the downswing, it's already open, you can just kind of keep it open through. Next up, the biggest difference between a bunker shot and just any other normal short game shot is if I'm hitting a chip, I am trying to hit ball first and then ground. With the bunker shot, I'm trying to get this club to enter the sand about right there. You want the club to enter the sand about an inch behind the ball every time. Again, I see so many higher handicappers, they're trying to get in there in a bunker, narrow stance, all that, and trying to pick it off the sand when that's just not what you want to do. Also, in a bunker shot, the golf ball barely even hits the club face. What you're doing is you're hitting behind the ball, getting under the ball, and the sand is what pushes up the ball. It's kind of a good visual for knowing just like what you need to feel. Is getting here with a good setup, open face, club face gets open on the way back, and I'm trying to hit and get under the ball right on that line. I'll go ahead and see if I can do it. I think the line was right here. So I started it a little too far back, that's why it ran out, that's why I didn't have much spin on it. So I chunked it just a touch, but not bad. So don't be afraid to hit about an inch or two behind the ball and just get under that ball, let the sand lift the ball up. You don't have to pick the ball out of the sand. Next up, we've already talked about it a little bit, but use the bounce of the club. It's so important. You might hear on PGA Tour television broadcast, someone will hit a bunker shot and the commentator will be like, wow, that just had a nice thump to it. Well, that thump that they're talking about is the bounce of the club thumping on the sand. Wait, let's see if I can make it thump. There's the thump. That sound that it makes, club right here, hitting behind the ball, but then thumping under the sand, getting that sand to fly up and lift that ball out of the bunker. The biggest thing when I'm talking about this is when you're in a bunker, you don't need to lift the ball. You don't need to pick it. You don't need to feel like you're getting into the sand and then lifting the ball up at all. I see this motion so much in high handicappers, is like this right here, trying to lift it up. And that's not what you do. You want to thump the ground with the bounce, with this part of the club right here. Thump that ground with speed, and I promise you, if you do correctly, that ball will pop up out of the bunker and come out very consistent. Next step, which is just a very important key to have in your mind when you're hitting the shot, is you have to stay aggressive through impact. I see a lot of higher handicappers do this, and I know I do it as well sometimes. When you're going through the ball, you'll kind of decel, back out of it, and if you're decelling through the ball, sometimes it'll be chunky, it won't have enough on it to get out of the bunker. Sometimes it's just bad contact and it'll start rolling out and not have enough spin on it. You have to stay aggressive through the shot. So don't be scared to have some speed going through the sand and just using that bounce and let that thing pop up. So just watch how much speed I have here at impact. I'm just gonna stay aggressive through the ball and not decel. And that just helps with consistency so much, because decelerating through the ball can just be a killer in the bunkers. You gotta stay aggressive and make sure to just hit behind that ball, use that bounce, and just have a lot of speed through it and just be really aggressive through it. All right, next up, I already kind of mentioned this with the backswing. You want this club face to be open throughout the entire shot. You want it to start open, you want it to feel like it's opening on the way back, and then staying open throughout the shot, throughout the impact. So whenever you finish a bunker shot, you want your grooves to be looking back at you. You don't want to be going here. You want the face to stay open, grooves pointing at you. And keeping that club face open throughout the entire time will help you slide under that ball, not get stuck in the sand, and help you that club face go under the ball and get back out quickly, and just those grooves will be looking right back at you. So after you obviously do everything like I've told you in this video, you will be at the finish, you want to be posted up on this left side. So again, this just helps keep that weight on that left side throughout the shot, because if you back out of it, get back here, it's probably not gonna be a very good shot. and you might finish like this, or even more just kind of in the middle. You want that weight to be right here at setup, right here throughout the swing, through the ball, and then at the finish. You want to be up here on this left side, posted on the left side, with those grooves pointing back at you. And also when I say the grooves pointing back at you, you're probably gonna be finishing back here, but if you stopped it right here, the grooves would be pointing at you, so you just want to have that feeling of that face being open through the end, staying posted up on the left side, and finishing right here. All right, now that we've gone through all the fundamentals and the technical side of things, here's one drill I love to do in bunkers. So I've been lucky, I've always been very good out of the bunkers, it's just naturally, never really had to worry about too much technical stuff. But this is one thing I do if I am a little bit off, just to kind of check and make sure things are okay, and just kind of get some of that confidence back in my bunkers if I'm losing some of it. So what I do, I will draw a line right here in the sand, and I'm trying to draw it just left of the flag that I'm going to. So because you're getting steep in the bunker, you're gonna have a little bit outside in movement. So what I'm doing with the line drawn just left of the pin, it's just kind of where I want my club to be traveling. So I'll be able to look at the divot afterwards, and I'll be able to see, for instance, if I had this one and the divot was going this way, I know that I'm probably too outside in. And if it's going this way, then I know that I need to get a little more outside in. So it's just a good little checkup to see what my path is looking like. Also with this line, I will draw a somewhat straight line. I don't know why I can't draw a straight line. Right here, just to see where my ball placement is. So I never mentioned this earlier, you want the ball just in front of middle on your bunker shots. Pretty much middle, but just a little bit in front of middle. So I'll get in here, I'll look at this line, it's a little bit in front of middle. I can check where the divot is going with this line. And then if I'm practicing bunker shots almost every time, I will draw a little line right behind the ball, just so I can see afterwards if my club is entering the sand at the right spot, about an inch behind the ball. That's where I want to enter the sand. And I just made that bunker shot. Wasn't on camera, but that's okay. I told Mike to not look at it. But yeah, I can see this divot right here. That's my line right here. I started just before the line. So again, not terrible, it was barely off. That divot was going right down this little line. That explains why I made it. It was a pretty perfect shot. So hopefully I can do that more often. That's just a good little way to check up on your setup, check up on where you're entering the sand. Just a simple drill I like to do in the bunker. Well, thank you for watching another Good Laps video. I hope that this bunker lesson will help you out next time you find yourself on the beach, on the golf course. Bunkers, I know, can be very intimidating. It's a different type of golf shot. Usually short game shots, you're wanting to pick it off the grass, you're wanting to hit, you know, with a square club face, that type of stuff. Bunker shots are completely different. But if you practice at them, work on these things I told you today, I promise you they can turn very simple. And honestly, you might even start loving the bunkers like I do. I appreciate you having to stare at this forehead the entire video. I know it's big, but I need to work on this hat tan, so that's why I don't have my hat on. But thank you so much for watching. We have a lot of good videos coming out here soon that we're very excited to show you. And yeah, thank you so much. Peace.